but you can see some developments in later literature, or actually in the church fathers, you will see the dates of the destruction of the temple.
Because they would say Revelation's written around like 95 AD, but that doesn't mention the destruction of the temple.
Because it basically touches the present reality for about one chapter, and then moves on to the things of the future. It touches up on the things of the past, briefly stops on the things of the future with the letters to 7 churches, and then goes straight into things of the present, letters to 7 churches, and then goes straight into the future. I'm not sure now when was the Gospel of John written. And why they don't mention the destruction of Jerusalem. Probably because by that time, Gentiles wouldn't care. If let's say we're reading the letter of Paul to Philippians, he wouldn't even mention that because they wouldn't care. If he would be addressing Jewish population, yes, he would probably state, oh, okay, and by the way, Jerusalem was destroyed. But Paul died probably prior to that. He died, I think in 65 or 64, about the same year when Peter died. So it was about 5 years short of destruction of Jerusalem. So that's why, and predominantly, we have two major authors in the New Testament, Luke and Paul. We'll see it a little bit later on in the presentation. And this is the vast majority of the information that's found from there. This is actually an impression on the Arch of Titus, showing how Romans are destructing the temple and carrying out the sacred elements from it into Rome. These elements have never been seen afterwards. In fact, the money from the destruction of the Jerusalem temple, and also from the games at the not the games. The money from the destruction of the Jerusalem temple was spent to build a Colosseum in Rome. So the Colosseum in Rome is actually a symbol of the money invested from destroying the Jerusalem temple. So, ironic, but true. Okay, what is the purpose of the book? Oh, we know that Luke wanted to write, if I'm too close, you can tell me, can you see from there? You want me to lower down my... Luke wanted to write an accurate, chronological, and comprehensive account of Jesus' life. For 2 reasons: to strengthen the faith of the Gentile believers and to stimulate saving faith among the unbelievers. And note what is underlined: accurate, chronological, and comprehensive. None of the previous authors, neither Mark nor Matthew, had that purpose in mind. In fact, for the Jewish writers, it is not important whether something is written in chronological or sequential order. That's not how the Eastern mind thinks. What is important for Eastern-minded folks is to state something important about that individual's life, some important points in life, events in life. Of course, it will be birth, maybe some flashy moments from a lifetime, and then death and resurrection and so on. For the Gentiles, they want to know everything. If you read Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace, it's the book about this thick, because he is writing about everything in details. And that's how usually Eastern Europeans do. I mean, they don't have anything to do. They sit around all day, so they read the books, There's no jobs, so they just read the books, learn foreign languages, or do whatever. In this society, it's almost impossible. I mean, you get the cliff notes of Leo Tolstoy with 5 pages, So yeah, this dude was killing this guy, and he died. That's about it. You get your shortest version. I've seen the Cliff Notes on the Bible and Cliff Notes on Shakespeare. Very interesting. Of course, that's a picture of Jesus. It's not autographed, but.
It's not autographed.
How do we know it's real?
What was that?
How do we know it's real?
Well,
Doesn't it look like him?
huh? What was that?
Because it looks like him.
Yeah, pretty much. It's from Jesus.com, so it's got.
Look at his own personal Bible website.
The theme of the book, the theme of the gospel is the perfect Son of Man who came to seek and to save that which was lost. It sounds a little strange, not just to save, but to seek and to save. Why are we called to go out into the world? Or Matthew says, well, build a large church and teach everyone in it everything that I taught you. Or create a mission in your hometown and invite everybody. Or do a tent ministry. Or better yet, invite everybody to a stadium, somewhere. Or Times Square or Madison Square Garden. And invite a big shot preacher like Bill Graham. No, you don't need all to go out and save the world. Just give us a couple Billy Grahams and we'll do the rest. To seek and to save. Interesting. I hope it intrigues you. See, he was seeking and then he found his destiny. What are some of the key elements of the book of Luke? Key word or other statement or phrase is Jesus, the Son of Man. And it is more clearly understood in the Gospel of Luke probably than in the Gospel of Mark, because Luke is trying to emphasize the humanity of Jesus, because that is what is important for the people that will be reading about this account. They want to be able to identify with Jesus, to be able to act like him. With John's statement of Jesus as Son of God, it's very philosophical or theological statement. For many people in the Gentile world, it would be very foreign to them, since most of them couldn't even read or write. So talking about the high matters like that would certainly confuse them. Key verses, chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. And why don't we just read that? The gospel, according to Luke, follows the gospel of Mark. And it's in the New Testament, actually. So flip your Bibles to the New Testament. That's somewhere after Genesis. Chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. It seemed fitting to me as well, having investigated everything carefully from the beginning, to write it out for you in consecutive order, most excellent Theophilus, so that you might know the exact truth about the things you have been taught. Okay, that's 1, and then the next one is 19:10. What was that? Read it out loud.
The Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which is lost.
Oh, very good. What version is that? Oh, okay. It's the Holy Version, with excerptions from the Holy Version. Talk through the Bible.
Wilkinson's version.
Yeah, that's a good one. As long as it's not Eugene Peterson's, that's fine. Key chapter is chapter 15. And as you can see, it's all in red, so might be someplace. Here's the image of the Lord's Supper. Christ in Luke. Luke portrays Christ in a very humane and compassionate way. Christ is always helpful to those that are in need of help. And he humbly agrees to help them and does it in a very humane way. Which is probably very important for people that are tired, exhausted, persecuted, in pain, shamed by society, shunned by society, who are outcasts, social or political, or any other. So he is touching up on some of the social issues in this gospel because it was very important for the people of the day. Religion was impacting not only the mind of the person, but also the whole body. The way they were supposed to respond to their slave owners or those who were persecuting them would change the mentality of the whole society about Christianity. So that's why social change was certainly bound to come through the teachings. We move to project. Christ in Luke is the ideal Son of Man who identified with the sorrow and plight of sinful men in order to carry out our sorrows and offer us the priceless gift of salvation. So it's a slightly longer statement, basically saying the same thing. Oh, it's not Jesus.com, it's HollywoodJesus.com. You know, the Mount Calvary is a Hollywood. Contributions to the Bible. Well, in fact, we'll probably be done with the lecture in a few moments. Luke is the longest book in the New Testament. Not in the whole Bible, but in the New Testament. Luke's gospel is the most comprehensive and precise of the gospels. In fact, it is my favorite gospel of all of them. Luke and Acts constitute 28% of the New Testament. The movie Jesus was based on the Gospel of Luke. If you know, Bill Bright's project, Jesus is based on the Gospel of Luke. And it was one of the most successful ones. Unless Mel Gibson decides to make another one about the full life of Jesus, it should be interesting. Just to compare the two authors of the New Testament, or majority of the New Testament, Paul wrote 2,033 verses altogether in all his letters. Luke wrote 2,138 in just two books, Luke and Acts.